All right, welcome back to the Homestand Show. Time to pause on the Toronto Maple Leaf talk a little bit. We'll have Chris Johnson on later on the show to break all that down. Time for some tennis and WNBA talk with our favorite Crina Mustafa joining the show in studio today. How are you?
That was your missed opportunity to say tennis talk.
What do you mean?
You said tennis and WNBA talk, but you could have done the alliteration. And
okay.
You're being
tennis
corrected
talk.
live on air.
Whoa. The new host of the show, Crina Mustafa, has just joined us.
Wait, is it alliteration with only 2 words though? Shouldn't it be with 3?
I don't know. Oh, whatever. Let's just get
Here
into
we
it.
go. I mean, before we jumped on air here, we hit record. We're trying to figure out how to say certain tennis players' names, and I think we still don't know how to say it. But
I know. You
Say
don't
it
know.
then.
we'll get to it. But let's start with the Canadians of the French Open.
Sure.
Bianca Andreescu, the woman behind us, she had a big win over Victoria Azarenka. She's going to the second round. She also mentioned in her post-match that she wants to get back to feeling the way that she did in 2019 when she won the U.S. Open. Based on what you saw, did you see any glimpses of that in her performance?
Absolutely. I think she's very comfortable on clay. I think it suits her game quite well, actually. She's has great movement. Her inside-out forehand was working really well, too, I thought, against Azarenka. That's kind of one of the staples of her game. And so I think we've seen flashes of 2019 Bianca since her return to tour, as we've talked about multiple times. If she can string together a couple of consecutive matches, I think she could get back to that level that she wants to be at.
Can she get back to it sooner rather than later? When I say sooner rather than later, can I bet on her to win the French Open?
Okay, not to win the French Open, but she could make it a couple rounds in, I'd say.
Right.
Well, she's got to beat Emma Navarro first, right? Next time out. Who's won a tournament recently in Charleston, I believe. Did pretty well last month as well in Strasbourg. But Bianca is the favourite in this one, despite her recent form. Why is she the slight favourite in this one, given it seems the informed player right now is Navarro?
I think it's just her performance against Victoria Azarenka. Azarenka is a former world #1. She's a Grand Slam champ. She's a very hard opponent to play on the tour. She's been in form, actually, for the last couple of years, I'd say, like just being a very solid veteran. And I think that could have gone either way, that match. And I think because Bianca got the win, I'd assume that's why she is the favorite. I would actually back her now because I think she has the proper momentum moving forward.
Denis Shapovalov, also known as El Chapo. I don't know if that's been coined as a nickname yet, but
No one gave him that name.
I'm giving it to him now.
El Chapo?
El
Chapo.
He's not good enough to get the El Chapo
Well, he's the
tag.
2016.
Good enough. He's not a drug dealer.
No.
As far as we know.
That's
we know.
that's a great handle. El Chapo? Imagine that.
Yeah, El Chapo.
I like it. I like it. I like
Okay,
it.
so-
I'd come out to the court with the Narcos music on.
So he's set to face #1 seed Carlos Alcaraz. Does he have?
Is that really his next opponent? I didn't even look at the draw.
Yeah, that's next to the bracket.
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's why I'm asking you. Does he have any chance to beat the #1 seed in this tournament?
No. I'm sorry, but
Unless his
no.
henchmen kill him first.
Yeah, let's
This
just.
I think these first, like the second round win and the first round win, were very good for him because he was out for a lot of the clay season with battling a knee injury. He hasn't been very successful this year. He's kind of struggled. Last year, him and Felix both did very well at Grand Slams, and I think there's something about the Grand Slam that just brings out a different level of tennis in certain players. I think Chapo is one of those guys, and we've seen that with like him being consistent at Grand Slams. But it's super tough to run into the world #1, the favorite, the guy who's probably going to win it all just very early. So I do have my doubts, but I'm hoping he can at least like make it competitive.
Okay, maybe a word on Felix. Eliminated in the first round on straight sets. Stomach issue, shoulder issue.
I'd honestly just chalk that up to a bad day. I know he's had a lot of struggles recently with his game and not really looking so confident, but when you add in the shoulder thing that he's dealing with during the match, plus he took like a bathroom break, clearly I think there's some stomach bug going around because I think some other players were struggling with that too. He wasn't the only one. And so when a day like that happens, like it is what it is. It sucks because like when you're a professional athlete, especially in tennis, you have to be on your top game literally every single week of the year, because if you have a bad day and you lose, then that's it. And that's going to reflect badly on you, but it might not necessarily, we all have bad days at work. So I think that's what I would chalk this up to be. I'll
Speak for
have
yourself.
more.
Yeah, not everyone.
Speak for yourself.
Good Lord. I would wait to see how Felix does in the grass season coming up for me to evaluate what this year is like for him.
Charmaine.
What?
Oh, sorry, I thought you had a question.
Oh, no, sorry, no.
You went to the laptop and
the bathroom break got my mind turning, and I'm trying to look up something from the past.
You're pulling up a
might add some
stat?
color to the segment, but continue.
Okay, the story of the major so far. Gael Monfils.
Yay!
Yes.
Yay!
I didn't know you had to pronounce the S. I've been watching this guy
Yes.
for years. I always thought there was no S. This guy behind us put on an incredible comeback. It's definitely the story so far, right, of the tournament.
absolutely.
Now he runs into Hoberu.
Yeah. That's
Is
tough.
it the end of the road for him?
Listen, I don't know. I love Gael Monfils with all my heart. I think he's one of the greatest show people in the sport of tennis. He's been entertaining for decades now. I think he's 36 years old now. And so with the injuries that he's had in the last couple of years, like, I'm going to cherish any win that he gets on the court, especially when he does it the way that he did. Like, being down 4-love in the 5th and final set, he's the home favorite. Like, he's at home. And the way he was able to rally and like get and win that match, like, to me, that's incredible. He kind of looked like he couldn't walk there at the end. He's like, obviously was very tired. So like, I don't know how much legs he's going to have against Holger Rune, who I think just turned like 20 years old. But nevertheless, like, I think this was a very exciting win for him.
There have been some pretty big upsets in this tournament so far. Of course, number 2 seed Daniil Medvedev was knocked out in the first round. What are some other upsets that really caught your eye in the early stages of the French Open? Yeah,
Barbara Krejcikova, who won the tournament in 2021. She's very good in doubles, very good in singles. She was out in the first round. She's kind of been talking about wanting to be included in like the big 3/4 in women's tennis right now. And then she goes and she loses in the first round. So like, it's a little bit like, I don't know if I'd include her there yet. I think there was a period of time earlier this year where she was playing really strong tennis, where she could beat like Iga Swiatek and players like that. But right now, I was very surprised actually that she lost in the first round. I thought she was going to make it to the quarterfinals, but it happens. It's an upset. That's the upset to me that I'm like, whoa, I didn't expect that to happen.
Just back to Monfils. He's married to Alina Svitolina, right? Who's also a tennis player. Are they tennis's power couple?
Absolutely.
Like, not Steffi and Andre level, obviously, but they are.
Yeah, I think with them too, because I think they had like broken up right before their engagement announcement. So they kind of been taking us for a roller coaster, but now they have like a kid, they're married. But they've both kind of been making their returns at the same time. Monfils struggling with injuries and she's coming back from pregnancy, and Svitolina was kind of struggling there for a little bit, but she's on like a 7-match winning streak now, which is great because she was one of those like top 10 players before she got pregnant that was kind of in the talks with like Simona Halep and like that kind of area of players. So I'm really glad to see her winning. She's one of the players that makes me feel a little bit nostalgic about women's tennis right now because she was gone for so long and I'm so used to seeing her out there, and now we have all these new players like Iga and Rybakina and Sabalenka, but like, I love that Svitolina's back in winning matches.
We're running out of time here, but let's transition to the WNBA. 2 games you have your eye on this week. It's New York Liberty against Chicago Sky, the Las Vegas Aces, who 4-0. Look like the team to beat in the WNBA against the Chicago or Atlanta Dream. You're going to New York. So what's happening? You're going to cover Liberty for just one game, or?
So I'm going to New York next week to cover 2 Liberty games. One is against the Sky, actually. So that's why that was one of my matchups of the week. So I could see how they do against them on the road versus when they're going to be at home.
So it's for selfish reasons.
Okay. I guess so.
Well, you get to see 2 of the best in the game, right?
Yeah. So right now, like, to me, like, Brianna Stewart leading the Liberty has been extremely fun to watch. Sometimes I watch her, I'm like, oh, she's on my team now? Like, this is kind of the team that I've been covering for the last... Well, the New York Liberty were the first team that I started covering 3 years ago, and I was there when they were bad, and I was like, it was kind of just like watching them get better, acquiring more pieces, now having Brianna Stewart be the superstar on your team. Like, it's been kind of cool to watch. Like, you don't get to see that often for your own team. Like, it's kind of like the Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors type of situation where like that doesn't really come around so often. So I'm excited for them. I'm gonna be watching that one because the Sky are also a very tough defensive matchup, so they've been pretty good this season so far. And then my other matchup, the Aces versus the Dream, I think the Aces, like you mentioned, are undefeated this season. They're one of the best teams. I think they're going to win the championship. But the Dream are very exciting, too. They're piecing together some good basketball.
We have about a minute left, but I was just reading an article today on the WNBA, and this season, exposure is really going up. I think attendance has gone up 24%. Viewership is skyrocketing. What's different this season than the past?
I think there's just more attention on it. There's more resources being put. Like the WNBA website, the app was remade. Like there's more effort being put into social media, more TV deals. I think the TV deals are honestly like the biggest key here. The more that you put the games on TV and make it easier for people to watch, the more people are going to know what's going on. And I think that's the most important thing that's happened now.
Yeah. So make sure you follow Crina Mustafa on her journey to cover the New York Liberty. Crina, love you having on here. Always the best. Thank you so much. James Sharman,
fun.
Justin Pudi, not so much.
El Chapo.
El Chapo. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk some Jays with Andrew Stoughton. Stay tuned for that.